Hello, everyone. The Liberty Power Hour is on. Welcome to Freedom Watch, a 60-minute injection of raw liberty, streaming from the highly acclaimed Strategy Room on FoxNews.com. I'm your host, Judge Andrew Napolitano. We'll discuss the issues that profoundly affect your freedom, your civil liberties, your financial liberties, and your right to have a government that stays within the confines of the Constitution. John Dennis, Bob Schultz, right? Do you have some kind of an announcement that you're going to make?
Sure, I saved it just for you.
Well, there's a lot of people watching and listening now who agree with the fundamental principles that we hold dear, and they hold those principles dear. What's the announcement that you want them to know about?
Well, Judge, I'm concerned. I'm not a politician. I've never trained to be a politician. I don't have a resume of a politician. But I have a young family. I have a young daughter. And I was energized by the Ron Paul campaign and joined in with the other liberty activists who supported that campaign. And I've decided that it's important that those of us who can actually deliver the message of liberty get out and do that. So with that, we formed an exploratory committee to look at a run for Congress in California's 8th Congressional District.
And we all know, we're chuckling, we all know, even people that are off the set at the moment are chuckling, we all know who represents California's 8th Congressional District. Could that possibly be the loudest mouth and the farthest leftward of all members of Congress?
It's none other than the great Nancy Pelosi.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives herself.
Right.
So you'd be running as a free market, Constitution-embracing libertarian in the city by the bay.
Well, a pro-liberty Republican. Not
Okay.
since Justin Raimondo, the great Justin Raimondo, ran in 1996, has she had to face these kinds of questions that it seems that only the liberty Republicans tend to ask. And I think it's a good campaign. I think the liberty Republicans are perfectly suited for the urban races. We offer something that maybe other parts of the Republican Party do not. In that we can reach out to the left on some of the social issues.
Is there a real chance that you could get the Republican nomination, since my guess is there's not much of a Republican Party in the city of San Francisco itself?
Well, you know, I'm actually proud of the Republicans who are in that town, because it's really not that easy to be a Republican in San Francisco. And there'll be some opposition, but, you know, there's a lovely lady who's run before, but I think we'll prevail.
And will she engage you? I mean, will she acknowledge you? Will you debate her? Will this be a real contest, or is this just a cakewalk for her?
Which she, in the primary or in the general?
In the general. I'm assuming you're going to get the nomination.
Well, we have a couple of interesting tricks up our sleeves. Hopefully we'll get her attention and get her to join us in debate.
We the People Foundation, tell us a little bit about it, and tell us what you think of this courageous young man willing to take on Nancy Pelosi in San Francisco, of all places. The Republicans can't even effectively take her on in Washington, D.C., and you're willing to do it in her home territory. You don't expect a redress of our grievances in our lifetimes? I mean, what is the chance of someone with your attitude about freedom, the free market, the Constitution, and natural rights getting elected in such significant numbers in the Congress that we can actually affect the law of the land?
Well, if you'd asked me that about 5 years ago, I wouldn't have been terribly optimistic. But I'm involved in the liberty scene, and I see a lot of activity and people with a lot of hope. And I see people accepting the message, unlike any time in the past. I think people are beginning to believe that we can do this, that we can turn things around. And frankly, we're the last great hope of the American experiment in liberty.
And what are the issues in San Francisco? I mean, I would think, and I love San Francisco, it's a magnificent city. I mean, it's known as sort of a place where a person can be as free as they want. I would think, even though some might call that libertinism and others might call it freedom, you might have a message that might actually resonate there.
I think so. I mean, I think, like I said, I think we can appeal to the folks who are disaffected by Nancy Pelosi, the ones who are disappointed. You know, there's the whole anti-war crowd that's wondering why we are escalating Afghanistan. And we have a message for those people, and we have a message for people in other, you know, leftist groups.
Where's the anti-war crowd today, now that the war is being run by a Democratic president?
Your guess is as good as mine. If it weren't for the great folks at antiwar.com, I don't know where it would be.
Anti-war, legalization of marijuana, issues that might resonate with your potential voters in San Francisco coming out of the mouth of a libertarian Republican. What do you say?
Yeah, of course. And I mean, I think there's some of the heat is off of the marijuana issue because apparently the federal government's going to take a step back and not enforce the laws and leave it up to the states. Although I thought that was interesting that when Eric Holder announced that, 2 weeks later they raided a facility in San Francisco. So we'll see how that plays out. And then as far as the anti-war crowd is concerned, I think Nick hit the nail on the head. But I also think that Obama is vulnerable on this issue, and I think that as the honeymoon wears off, that he's going to have to answer some questions to a lot of these constituencies.
Is there a place in the Republican Party, a comfortable place for libertarians, small l?
Well, I don't know if the Republican Party has much choice in the matter. I mean, there's a growing, active group. And I wouldn't presume to tell the leadership of the Republican Party what to do, but if it was my choice, I would run a lot of pro-liberty Republicans in places, in urban races. I mean, we have a message that is not available to the standard Republican out there now. I want to pick up on something that Bob said really quickly, if you don't mind. Regarding that First Amendment, I thought it was fascinating at Nancy Pelosi's editorial yesterday in the USA Today.
She's afraid of dissent, and she would dare to call it unpatriotic. Will you meet with resistance, John Dennis, from the Republican leadership in San Francisco? Or will they welcome you with open arms because they want any Republican they can get, even a libertarian lowercase l?
Well, I'm involved in the Republican Party, in the local Central Committee. They know me, and they know who I am. And I think it's also important that our position as Liberty Republicans has been painted with an unkind brush. And I think it's interesting that people who come across as reasonable represent the libertarian viewpoint within the Republican Party.
John Dennis, thanks very much for joining us. Good luck to you in San Francisco.
Thank you, sir.
And please do come back and join us at Freedom Watch. Thank you.